On. Here with reaction to this and President Trump's national security speech earlier this week, retired Lieutenant Commander Dan Crenshaw, who was a Navy SEAL for 10 years, along with Middle East journalist and founding editor of Foreign Desk News, terror analyst as well, Lisa Daftari. Thank you both so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Lisa, I want to start with you. This bombshell report shows that the Obama administration allegedly stopped the DEA from continuing prosecutions of Hezbollah agents operating inside the United States and South America. What does this say about the Obama administration's foreign policy, and how does it make the Trump administration's isolation of Iran harder?
Yeah, you know, diplomacy is a wonderful thing. Warming of ties with a nation that we've not had diplomatic ties with for over 4 decades is even a more beautiful thing, particularly if it means economic or national security gain for the United States. But it's an awful thing when it means selling out the American people and the Iranian people. When you look at this deal, and we talked about this before because analysts like myself and many others were very critical of it, because at every turn there were these inconvenient truths, facts that showed us that the Iranian regime was not looking to curb its activities, whether it was at home with its human rights records or in the region, reaching its tentacles into Iraq and Syria and Yemen, undermining U.S. national security and our foreign policy plans. And now, when you add to this all these different layers, Hezbollah, which is a direct tentacle of the Iranian regime, supported by them since 1980, you see that this was yet another national security issue, or you can look at it more as a domestic issue here with our drug problem in this country, and it was completely overlooked in the light of pushing forward this deal.
Right, and Hezbollah is not a ragtag team of terrorists who are hiding in caves. They are a very sophisticated global organization that was responsible for more American murders pre-9/11 than any other terrorist organization. Dan, I want to speak to you specifically about that issue. You served in Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot of this money that they were using, that they were funneling through drug cartels and working with the Venezuelans on, was used for weapons to kill American troops. What your reaction to that?
That's absolutely correct. And not only have I been to Iraq and Afghanistan, I've been on the ground in Lebanon and Beirut. I've seen firsthand what Hezbollah do and their capabilities. The threats that they pose to us, our Lebanese partners, our Israeli allies, they're a global threat. And as you said, they're sophisticated. Their counterintelligence capabilities are high. We need to be worried about these things, not giving them handouts for some miscalculated foreign policy achievement.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, the Obama administration and the officials who worked on the Iran deal, Ben Rhodes in particular, has fought back against this story without actually citing any facts about what's wrong and anything that's in the story that's inaccurate. Moving forward, how does the Trump administration carry out the president's national security strategy in isolating Iran as the problem with the Saudis, the Egyptians in the Middle East, with this, years-long investigation that was hampered? It seems like they have a lot of catching up to do.
A lot. It's very tough to turn back 8 years of this apologist foreign policy that put everyone else first and America last. Now, President Trump is attempting to put America first, and it's very ironic how he gets pushback, from Americans. First of all, when you have the pushback from Americans who say that we shouldn't cut foreign aid over, for example, the UN Jerusalem vote, or that we shouldn't deliver a slap on the wrist to Pakistan or any other nation getting these free handouts from the United States. This is not money that came from Donald Trump's piggy bank. This is taxpayer money. So left, right, and center, this affects all of us. And when you have, President Trump standing at the podium on Monday and delivering what I thought was a very strong and centrist foreign policy strategy that puts us first, that talks about economic strength, it talks about political strength, it talks about peace through strength. And I think that's a wonderful thing that all Americans should agree on.
Dan, the Trump administration laid out 4 pillars. Based on your experience, what is different about the Trump administration's approach to national security compared to the Obama administration moving forward?
Well, there's a lot of things to like here. There's a huge focus on border security. That is extremely important to us in Texas. We are on the front lines. I've been on the front lines in a lot of places, but as Texans, we are on the front lines of border security here. I also like that he focuses on economic security and identifying economics as a pillar of national security. That's extremely important. And we just got a huge win this week with the tax reform bill. That's going to be a big part of that, making America competitive all around the world. I mean, that's part of national security. Border security, national security, and he's also rebuilding the military. I've seen morale dip over the years, and I've seen it, especially in the special operations community, morale is picking up under this president. And that's because he's unleashing the capabilities that we have. We're taking the fight to the enemy. People know where we stand in this world now. This national security document is about clarity. And it's great, and there's a lot of wins this week. You know, and Nikki Haley in the UN, really, I mean, it's great.
We like Nikki Haley at the UN a lot. Lisa, speaking of taking the fight to the enemy, one of the most undercover stories of the year is the wins against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. That has been underreported to a significant extent, but that doesn't mean that the FBI isn't busy here at home with 1,000+ cases open in every single state. So how does the administration move forward domestically in fighting jihadism here at home?
I think there is a strong focus on the reality of the situation that has been ignored for many years, meaning we've always said if we can win the ground battle against ISIS overnight, which we could and we actually did, it wasn't overnight, but it was fairly quickly under the Trump foreign policy, there is then this fixation on you can't beat ISIS just on the ground battle, but because they've spread so perversely throughout the internet and on the web, on the dark web, that a lot of us are still covering and looking at how they sprout up on all different types of social media platforms, chat, putting out all types of media. But I think the Trump administration understands that fight, the fact that this kind of the low-hanging fruit, meaning the easy recruits that are sought after, whether it's on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, etc., to fight that message. And it's a very daunting task, but I think a lot of that of our resources are being put on the local fight, kind of on the local fight, and also on the social media, cybersecurity, etc.
Dan, quick last word to you.
No, I agree with everything Lisa said. It's extremely important to take the fight home here, work with our local law enforcement, defeat radicalization here at home. Those are the kind of attacks we're going to see a lot of in the future that aren't necessarily big, complicated attacks like 9/11, but those lone wolf attacks that come from radicalization.
Right. Well, we'll see how we do it moving forward. The new year is right around the corner. Commander Dan Crenshaw, Lisa Daftari, thanks so much. The judge